All right, seniors, this is an exciting time. What happens next? You've done all the things, you've completed all the classes, you passed all the tests. What do we do now? Now you got to pay all the dollars and do the adult things, which is sort of lame, but also you get to do a really cool job. So, for us in Massachusetts, we have a temporary license option. So, you can apply for your temporary license and work under your temporary license for up to 1 year. So I will have to write you a letter explaining that you've completed all the didactic and clinical requirements, and you will submit that along with your application. So remember those accounts you made on mass.gov, you would log in there and apply for your temporary license. So approvals are not super fast. I'd say about 2 to 4 weeks, but it also doesn't cost anything. So if you want to wait a month or two to, take your registry and then apply for your actual license, the temp license will cover you. So test site and time. So your ARRT, remember, is a national certification. It can be taken in any state. So just because we're in Massachusetts, you could take it in Connecticut. You could drive over to New York and do it. You could go to New Hampshire and make a weekend out of it. I don't know, whatever you want to do. So when you're searching on the Pearson VUE website, feel free to really kind of look around and evaluate what your options are. It doesn't have to be in our area of Massachusetts. So look at the time options, what's available, and then what kind of time person are you? Are you an early riser? Do you want to do it in the morning? Do you hate to wake up early? Do you want to sleep and do it in the afternoon? You can choose, or if it's only the one day, one option, then you take that day. I would say if you're not doing it somewhere that you've been before, really do a test run of that location. How do I get there? Where do I park? Do I have to pay to park? How do I get in the building? Do sort of a practice run maybe a couple days before and make sure you know where you're going. Your exam date. Don't tell the world when you've chosen an exam date. It's just stress that you don't need in your life. Don't post it to social media. Don't tell everyone that you know when you're taking your test. What if you change your mind? What if you fail? Just keep it to yourself. If you want to tell me, and we can, know together. Kind of only tell your boss if you have to. Say you need the day off if you need to kind of explain why, because you haven't gained any PTO yet or something. Let them know. Try not to work third shift the night before and then go into the test. I think that's a little bit exhausting. Not that someone couldn't be successful doing that, but I don't think it sets you up for success. Try to relax the night before. Try not to study. Give yourself a little bit of a break. When you go in, you're going to need 2 forms of ID. One has to have your signature on it. So your license or your passport can be your identification. It has your signature on it. If your social security card has your signature on it, your school ID, your bank card, credit card. I know most of the credit cards now don't even have a space for a signature on it. So, really look at that. Make sure you have something with your signature. They're going to take your photo, scan your palm. Some places only fingerprint, but most of them are doing the palm scan now. All of your belongings need to go in a locker. So your watches have to come off, your phone, your wallet, your purse, all that jazz. Wear sort of minimal jewelry. Kind of only bring the things that you need. It's going to go in this locker. Dress for layers. Plan on maybe cold or warm. Be able to kind of take something on and off. It can't have a big hood on it. So a sweater or just a crew neck sweatshirt would be fine. I recommend the earplugs if they provide them for you. You don't know who else is taking a test in the little cubicle next to you, and if they're doing an annoying sound, that would be all I would focus on. So take the earplugs, be in your moment, watch the exam process tutorial where it explains to you how to use the exam. And remember, you have 2 minutes to accept the non-disclosure agreement or the NDA, or you forfeit your exam opportunity. Don't sit there and zone out or panic or be writing on your whiteboard or something. Make sure you click yes on that NDA. You only have 2 minutes to read it and click yes and move on. Otherwise, if you miss that window, you've got to reschedule. So don't do that. Taking your test. It's 200 questions. It's 230 questions total. 30 are these pilot or like trial questions that don't count for your points, but you have to answer all 230. You have 3.5 hours to take it. You can minimize the timer if that's going to make you nervous and you feel like you're going to kind of stare at the clock. Go ahead and minimize it. You have to select an answer before you can move on. But if it's something you want to come back to, you can do what we call is flag it. So you can flag it and go back to it later. But don't change that answer unless you're 100% sure. You know how I feel about changing those answers. You get, I call it a whiteboard. I think it's these like white erase sheets and a white erase marker. There's no eraser. If you need a new one or you've already filled it up, you'd have to raise your hand to get a new one. I think it's like 3 sheets of paper. Don't stress it. If you need to use the bathroom, you can, but you have to raise your hand and wait for someone to come collect you. And there's a max of 10 minutes out of the room during the test. So just keep that in mind. If you need a break, take the break, but you can't be out for very long. You can't also just sort of get up when you want to. You got to raise your hand and wait. At the end of the test, you also have to raise your hand to be able to leave the room. Don't get up till they come get you. When you leave, they'll palm scan you on the way out and you can get everything out of your locker. Your test score will appear in a certain color. There's different colors. Red, though, makes everybody panic. They're like, I think it was an 83, but it was red. I don't care what color it is, but also the score is not very big. It's a little bit small and kind of in some writing. If you click too fast, you're going to miss that page. And guess what? The person at the desk, they can't tell you your score. You have to wait until that report comes to your house in 1 to 3 weeks to know your score number. So slow clicks at the end when you're hitting submit. Pay attention, read all the words on the page. If your score is blue or red or yellow, don't worry about the color. Is it above a 75? Then you passed. Then call all your people, do all your celebrating. Please text me, call me. And then you will get a breakdown in the mail it's like 1 to 3 weeks it's sent to you. You will need the ARRT information to apply then for your state license. And that takes a little bit for it to show up on sort of the website to do the verify credentials, which is why I kind of recommend getting the temp license going. So you're not kind of waiting on employment to wait for the official state license, because Massachusetts moves a little slowly. What if you don't pass? It does not mean that you're not an excellent technologist. It just means you need a better study plan. 2 weeks or so after your test, you're going to get your detailed printout. It's going to give you your scores. What did I do well on? What do I need to work on? Where did I go wrong? Find those really low score areas and really tackle those, but make sure and study everything. Just because you scored low on this one test in extremities, the next test might be a different version. So make sure you're studying everything. You have to pay again. And I think the repeat is actually only 200. I have 225 here, but I may be wrong on that. I believe the initial is only 225. Still $200. So let's make sure we're kind of making good use of these attempts. I don't want you spending all the dollars. There are only 3 chances to take your registry. If you fail all 3, you would have to repeat the entire program. So make sure you're very mindful of when you're ready to take this test. Applying for your Massachusetts state license. We already talked about temp license. We made the accounts on mass.gov. And then after ARRT is complete and you waited probably 1 to 3 weeks to show up on the website so you can verify your credentials, you can then apply for your official Massachusetts state license, which again, they want all your monies. You have to pay $150 for that state license. CEUs are something you're going to do over your 2-year span. So in 2 years, usually you have to complete 24 CEUs. For us in Massachusetts, it's 10 CEUs in your primary discipline. So if you're working mainly in X-ray, you have to have 10 related to X-ray, 2 related to rad protection, and then The rest can be, you could do a couple about CT. If you're interested maybe in MRI things, you can do it in that. You could do some mammo ones, whatever you think. So because it's 24 every 2 years, I recommend doing 12 CEUs each year to kind of prevent some issues. If you get audited year one and you've done no CEUs, red flag, you might have to do some extras. So try to get started. Don't wait all the way till the end to do the 24. If you then do an additional certification, say you move on to CT, you're going to need at least 4 CEUs for each modality that you're working in. So watch your state license requirements. If you're out of Mass, I don't necessarily know who has what requirements, so make sure you're checking on that. When do I start my CEUs? So I'll show you how I log into ARRT dashboard. It tells me my biennium. And it's a 2-year period. It ends the month before my birth month. For you guys, depending on when you take your exam and when your birth month is, will tell me how you're going to start your CEUs. So if you pass the exam in May, your birth month is in April, you will start that following April with CEUs. So it's often the next birth month. Where it gets tricky is when it's within like a close like 1 month, 2 month period. Sometimes you're starting right away. So really watch that biennium, watch your dates, because it tells us here when you pass your exam more than 2 months before your birth month, your first renewal, and you might get a renewal in 2 months. You're going to be like, what is this from ARRT? They just want my money. So they just want your $65. CEUs don't start until your next birth month. So you might have then a year before you start CEUs. Some people, depending on where their birth month lands, you might have to start CEUs within, say, a month of passing your registry. It's really important to check your ARRT dashboard. Know your dates. Remember, annual renewal is just money. The CE biennium is money and CEUs, and you have to keep track of that. CEUs, ASRT, I recommend never doing CEUs in your birth month of year 2. You have to have them completed by the month prior. I'm an August birthday. I have to have my CEUs completed by the end of July on year 2 when I'm going to renew. So don't wait until your birth month to do it. Keep track of your CEUs. Most departments don't do this for you. They expect you to do it yourself. I want you to keep some copies at home in case you get audited. So about 2 to 3 bienniums worth to make sure you have that. So ASRT is a great option for new grads. It's $125, I believe, per year. They will submit the CEUs to ARRT for you. You go on the website, you complete the CEUs, they send it over for you, and you don't have to stress about having to kind of enter everything. eRAD imaging is my favorite. It's cheaper, but also keep in mind, I have to enter the 24 CEU information, and I'll show you guys how to do that when my renewal is up soon, so I'll show you how to do that. There's a little quiz. You read an article, take the quiz. They keep track of your CEUs. I then have to just type in on ARRT when I'm due for a renewal. So I don't type in over the 2 years. I type everything in probably June before I'm due. Say you were late and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do all these CEUs. You could do eRAD imaging, pretty rapid fire. There's some websites that have a textbook and a quiz that can get you 26 CEUs. The Scrub CE, I've done books off of there before. Gauge is great. X-Ray Lady website has other options as well. So just make sure you have something. I do an alert in my phone every June 1st to remind me, hey, Megan, Your biennium is probably coming up soon. Pay attention. Make sure you have your stuff done. All right. So just reminders. Renewal, Massachusetts license is every 2 years. It's $150. Ignore this sentence because they have moved to an online website, right? We know this. We applied on mass.gov for accounts. It's no longer done in the mail. And ARRT certification, the renewal is every year. It's $65. The biennium is $65 plus CEUs. And I have a little handout worksheet for you on that to help you kind of keep track of that. I would say most facilities don't reimburse these fees. Some do. But so just kind of be prepared for these. Make sure you're saving your dollars. And then CQR. CQR is something you're going to do in 10 years once passing your ARRT. In 7 years, because you have 3 years to complete it, they're going to say, hey, Susie Q, you're ready to do your CQR. You have 3 years to complete this. So it'll let you know this is coming up. Get started. Here's your window, and you're going to have to do your CQR. And what's involved? There's a professional profile. There's a structured self-assessment. And then they're going to prescribe you continuing education. If someone has told you, oh my gosh, you have to do the registry again in 10 years, that's not what this is. Do you have to go to the testing center and do a test? That's an abbreviated version of your registry. Yes, you do. It is not scored. You can't fail it. It's just identifying where you need some more continuing education. So there's all of these parts are explained on the website, and it tells you what you need to know for that. You're probably not going to remember this lecture in 5 years. So maybe if it's out to the world on YouTube, you might remember it. So the structured self-assessment, I guess it is technically a test, but you can't fail it. So if you fail it, it's not like you lose your job, you don't lose your license, anything like that. So you will schedule your appointment. Some people can do this from home, actually, if you have a quality computer setup. It would be a proctored test as well. So for X-ray, it's a total of 80 questions. The maximum CEs that you would have to complete is 36. So say you did absolute bomb, you would have to complete 36 CEs, which I doubt will happen. But anyway, so you'll have to complete these. They do also count towards your biennium. So if you're already renewing, you need the 24 CUs anyway. You're going to be doing these CQR as well. What happens if you don't complete it? If you don't complete it within the period, they discontinue your credentials. So if you don't do that, just keep in mind there's no extensions. They give you a 3-year warning. So it's not 3 years to take the test. It is 3 years to take the test, complete the required CQR or CEs, and submit everything. So don't think I can take the test at the 10-year mark, because it's not. But also something to keep in mind, those of you who are going to write to CT, you have to do these every 10 years for each discipline. So I wouldn't, I would maybe push my CT registry back at least a couple months, ideally a year maybe, so you're not doing all of these in the same year would be great. But they have links on the website, so go to ARRT and look through those if you have questions or concerns about it. And just a reminder, in a year, I'm going to be sending you a survey. It's the graduate survey. I'm going to probably ask you for an email for your employer. And this is for me to get some feedback from you after you've been kind of working for a while. How do you feel? Are there things that I could do to improve the program to make you a stronger technologist after working in the field for a little bit? So please, please, please answer my email about the graduate survey. And then you're deciding what kind of RT do you want to be. You have worked with a lot of technologists over these 2 years. It's now your turn to decide what kind of technologist do you want to be. You're going to decide your standards for patient care, your standards for image critique, your relationship with coworkers, and education of students. Yep, you're going to have students really, really soon. Will you be a button pusher? You know how I feel about button pushers. Gosh, I hope not. I hope you're someone who really cares and who holds themselves to a high quality. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Over your next year, you're going to kind of have some questions or maybe some insecurities about some things. Don't be afraid to ask. Ask for help. Just because you're graduating and you're passing your ART doesn't mean you know every single thing. You're still going to learn a lot. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I hope you are a really good educator. I hope you're someone the future students can go to. Be that tech maybe that you didn't have, that you're willing to kind of work with the students and really help them along. So congrats. I hope you decorate your caps really cute because I could never figure out how to do that. And so remember, if you have questions, let me know. And you can always message me about the certifications and licensure.